with my family. So this is exciting.
Should have made a hair commercial.
Well, thank you. Your hair is amazing.
This
also,
is half mine.
Blue, I tried to match you today.
We called each other.
You've heard the headlines, America's Golden Couple versus the Creep Director. But what if the real story is the complete opposite of what the public has been led to believe? This isn't about vibes, gossip, or social media narratives anymore. This is about receipts, sworn depositions, court exhibits, and recorded calls that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds allegedly never expected would see daylight. According to new filings in the It Ends With Us legal battle, Wayfarer Studios executive Jaime Heath testified that he recorded multiple phone calls with WME agents and Sony executives, the very people representing Blake and Ryan, and the same network connected to Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer itself. These recordings are now officially listed as evidence in the case. One of those calls reportedly includes a WME agent reading out a letter written by Blake and Ryan, demanding that Wayfarer issue a humiliating public statement taking the blame for all on-set drama. Heath says he hit record because he could not believe what he was hearing and wanted a documented account of it. That's not fan speculation, that's testimony under oath. In another recorded conversation with Sony, Heath describes trying to coordinate the film's premiere while slowly realizing the studio was shifting toward Blake's side, despite the fact that Wayfarer financed roughly $30 million of the film while Sony only handled distribution. So ask yourself if this was simply a straightforward harassment situation, like Blake's PR machine framed it. Why would there be secret recordings, frantic internal emails, and studio executives scrambling behind the scenes to manage fallout? And that's just the beginning. What follows is a deeper look into how Blake and Ryan allegedly took over the film, the edit, the premiere, even the guest list, and how Justin Baldoni, the man who developed, financed, directed, and starred in the project, ended up banned to the basement of his own movie. According to legal filings, Blake didn't just star in It Ends With Us. She allegedly attempted to seize control of the entire production. Despite Wayfarer's massive financial investment, she acted as if she owned the film, backed by Ryan Reynolds, who used his influence and agency reach to push demands that had more to do with power than with safety. Evidence presented in court claims Blake forced out editors, composers, and producers she didn't approve of, demanded her own cut of the film even when Justin's cut reportedly tested higher, tried to remove his A Film by Justin Baldoni credit, and threatened to withhold promotion unless her terms were met. She allegedly worked through Sony, instructing them to pressure Wayfarer directly because she refused to speak to the team that actually made the movie. The most shocking element, Sony appears to have complied. The studio needed a hit. They needed Taylor Swift's music for the trailer, and Blake through Ryan had the industry connections to make that happen. Meanwhile, as Justin tried to finalize the film he had spent years shepherding, Blake was allegedly tearing apart his version, rebuilding it to center herself, and pushing him out of the project entirely. And the story only escalates from there. What happened next has been described by insiders as one of the most outrageous moves of the entire saga. Blake Lively allegedly blocked Justin from attending his own premiere and coordinated a mass unfollow from the cast in a single day. If her takeover in the editing room seemed intense, this was full-blown villainera behavior, unfolding publicly in front of Hollywood, fans, and the entire internet. According to sworn testimony, Blake Lively didn't just want influence, she wanted absolute control. She wanted Justin Baldoni erased, in the evidence laid out in the legal filings makes that intention painfully clear. According to testimony and internal communications, Blake didn't simply distance herself from Justin. She actively worked to remove him from every aspect of the film's public presence. She allegedly pushed to have him banned from the red carpet entirely, refused to stand beside him in any promotional photos, and instructed Sony that he should not appear in publicity images with the cast under any circumstances. Even more shocking, she insisted that Justin and his invited guests be placed in a basement-level screening room, tucked away from cameras and completely separated from the main event, as if he were an inconvenience to be hidden rather than a director, financier, and star whose years of work made the entire movie possible. Let that sink in. Justin Baldoni, the creative force behind the project, was allegedly treated like a problem to be managed instead of a filmmaker to be celebrated. Wayfarer's CEO, Steve Sarowitz, later testified that Blake and Ryan's demands became so aggressive and inflexible that the Wayfarer team, the very people who funded the $30 million production, were effectively locked out of their own premiere, while they stood outside or were pushed away from the spotlight. Blake and Ryan walked the carpet with full studio backing, posing for cameras, giving interviews, and acting as though they were the sole driving forces behind the movie. Sarowitz's testimony portrays a premiere night that didn't feel like a celebration of a collaborative film but rather a coronation engineered by two powerful Hollywood figures, determined to control the narrative and visibility of everyone involved. And the cast wasn't spared from the pressure. Multiple legal filings alleged that Blake pressured them behind the scenes, setting off one of the most bizarre digital moments of the entire scandal. On August 7th, nearly the entire cast suddenly unfollowed Justin on social media. Slowly, not by coincidence, all at once in a coordinated wave that looked more like a political maneuver than a genuine reaction. It was a public humiliation campaign executed with precision, designed to sway online perception and turn fan sentiment sharply against Justin. Within 24 hours, media outlets were running headlines about supposed set drama and claiming that Justin had been abandoned by his cast. Exactly the narrative Blake's PR strategy needed for her version of events to gain traction. But here's the twist: Blake allegedly didn't anticipate. Justin has the receipts. Wayfarer has the receipts. Sony has the receipts. And those receipts indicate that the August 7th mass unfollow wasn't a spontaneous cast reaction or an outcry over misconduct. Was a carefully orchestrated move, weaponized as part of a larger PR war to isolate Justin from his own film, shift blame, and build a narrative where Blake appeared as the harassed victim and Justin the villain. In reality, the documentation suggests the opposite. This was not a response to wrongdoing but a tactic to erase the man who built the movie from the ground up. In the broader narrative being discussed online, the situation centers on a claim that a seemingly simple comment about an actor's outfit caused significant offense, a moment that was subsequently amplified heavily by one side to support a larger harassment storyline, framing it as a pivotal piece of evidence in a wider narrative of workplace misconduct. Yet the discussion around this incident shifted dramatically when an older podcast clip resurfaced, showing the same actress speaking comfortably, candidly, and humorously about subjects far more explicit and intimate than a mild compliment, creating a stark contrast that many observers found difficult to reconcile with the idea that she could have been genuinely shaken or traumatized by such an interaction on set. According to various witnesses cited in online discussions, the environment on set had been described as professional and collaborative, leaving people questioning why the episode in question was being highlighted as so disruptive. This discrepancy fueled further debate, especially as the matter escalated into a formal legal process, in which one party submitted an extensive compilation of documents, emails, call logs, studio communications, and other records as part of their case. These submissions, totaling hundreds of attachments, prompted attempts by the opposing side to delay or seal portions of the material, arguing that reviewing the evidence would require significant time and that public release could cause harm, while observers noted that when major studios or influential entities joined in requesting secrecy, it suggested there might be sensitive information involved. The ensuing tension sparked widespread speculation in online communities and media circles about what these sealed materials could reveal, why certain parties were so eager to keep them confidential, and what the ultimate implications might be once full transparency was achieved. As the court set a firm deadline for the unsealing of documents, the narrative grew increasingly complex, encompassing debates over the difference between public perception and documented evidence, the strategies behind narrative control, and the influence of selective disclosure on shaping how the conflict would be understood by the public. Additional claims and interpretations emerged during this period, particularly around the use of encrypted messaging platforms and auto-deleting messages, which some framed as evidence of suspicious behavior, while others suggested they were standard practices within professional communications. Through all of this, the central tension in the story evolved from a single comment on set to a far larger struggle over credibility, transparency, and the power to control the narrative, highlighting how isolated incidents can be magnified into symbolic moments, and raising broader questions about the ways in which personal interactions, legal maneuvering, and media amplification intersect in highly publicized conflicts. Ultimately, the unfolding saga illustrates how the interplay of perception, documentation, and public scrutiny can dramatically alter the story that emerges, leaving audiences to pass the lines between what was said, what was felt, and how the evidence is interpreted once it becomes accessible to all. It sounded juicy. It sounded scandalous. It sounded like the kind of story tabloids would foam at the mouth for, except that the truth told a very different tale. In the new declarations, the defendants clarified what really happened. Yes, Signal was used like half of Hollywood uses it, but most of the alleged auto-deleting messages were simply routine communications that never needed to be saved messages, coordinating day-to-day production details, not evidence of hidden plots or harassment conspiracies. The irony is that Blake's own filings undermined her claim, citing messages supposedly deleted on dates when Justin wasn't even using Signal on those devices yet. Even the judge hinted that the accusation was tenuous at best. The real question then emerges: if Blake truly believed these messages were the key to proving harassment, why was she fighting so aggressively to seal the evidence that actually mattered: the depositions, emails, call logs, and studio communications? The answer is revealing. The Signal story was never a smoking gun. It was a distraction, a PR tactic designed to cast suspicion before the real documents could be made public. The case became even more fragile when considering the testimony of the only cast member who spoke openly about what happened on set, Hassan Minhaj. He was present throughout the scenes that Blake had used to construct her entire harassment narrative. He saw everything firsthand. standing just inches from the actors in the pivotal bar scene. When asked by People magazine about the alleged drama, Hassan spoke plainly. Everybody was lovely, professional, and everything went smoothly. There was no fear, no coaching, no PR scripting, just the truth. He observed nothing that matched the version of events Blake's team circulated in the press. No tension, no discomfort, no harassment, no chaos, nothing. This direct contradiction is devastating for Blake, as it exposes what many had begun to suspect. The so-called problems on set did not originate with Justin. They came from Blake herself. The only people who supported her version were those directly tied to her, professionally or socially, who had something to gain and aligned themselves with her narrative only after she decided she wanted Justin out. Hassan, however, had no reason to lie, no alliances to protect, and no career incentives riding on Blake and Ryan. He simply told the truth. There was no harassment, no inappropriate behavior, no toxic conduct, just a powerful celebrity couple engineering a narrative to seize control of a movie and the man who made it. But the repercussions didn't end with Hassan's statement. Outside the cast, the real consequences began to hit Blake and Ryan in the one place that matters most in Hollywood: their careers. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds may have assumed their star power, PR networks, and connections could shield them from fallout. But Hollywood has a way of quietly closing doors, and the cracks in their carefully crafted images are becoming impossible to ignore. Ryan Reynolds, once riding high off the Deadpool franchise and one of Hollywood's most bankable stars with studios competing for his involvement, has seen opportunities for major theatrical releases suddenly vanish, while he has signed on with streaming platforms like Amazon and Netflix for controlled, quiet projects. Big studio blockbusters have remained elusive. His next theatrical release is a modest animated animal movie, and reports suggest that Marvel has yet to greenlight another Deadpool installment with him, while pitches to Disney, Sony, Warner, Universal, and Paramount have reportedly been rejected or met with silence. Blake's trajectory is similarly affected. Once a bankable star with a strong portfolio of films and lucrative brand partnerships, she now faces increasing scrutiny and the slow, subtle closing of doors that can define a Hollywood career. The combination of legal drama, public perception, and internal industry whispers has begun to shift the narrative, and her carefully constructed image is under strain. Where once she and Ryan could operate with near immunity, their actions, amplified by media coverage and insider accounts, are now producing tangible professional consequences. The saga underscores a stark reality in Hollywood. Reputation is fragile, narratives are powerful, and even the most prominent stars can find their careers disrupted when legal, personal, and public worlds collide. Rumors and whispers circulating through Hollywood suggest that Blake Lively hasn't booked a major studio role since the scandal allegedly erupted, with insiders claiming she quietly signed onto a streaming project that may never even see the light of day. According to these circulating narratives, this isn't simply a coincidence but the natural consequence of actions that allegedly left industry executives wary. The speculation paints a picture of Hollywood insiders bracing for the public release of evidence, including recordings, depositions, and internal communications, in which Blake and Ryan Reynolds' names appear prominently. Industry commentators claim studios are hesitant to anchor big-budget films to a couple rumored to be connected to creative disputes, alleged coercion, behind-the-scenes conflicts, and controversial public narratives that allegedly contributed to the resignation of multiple executives. Hollywood, after all, is known for its long memory, and even a single high-profile controversy can leave a lasting mark on a career. The ongoing discourse portrays a dramatic irony. While Blake and Ryan have publicly leveled accusations of misconduct and unprofessionalism against Justin Baldoni, the narrative suggests that it is Justin who is actively moving forward, building projects, and maintaining momentum in his career. Meanwhile, Blake and Ryan are portrayed as stalling, caught in a liminal space of anticipation and anxiety as the December 19th legal deadline approaches. According to commentators, that is the date when a judge may begin unsealing court documents piece by piece, revealing information that was previously hidden from public view, from depositions to internal studio communications. Once these documents are unsealed, the speculation is that the narrative surrounding the couple could dramatically shift, moving from selective leaks, whispers, and rumor-driven articles to a fully documented public record. This unfolding saga is fueled by claims still unverified of recorded phone calls, internal studio messages, deposition excerpts, and allegedly conflicting witness statements. Online discussion suggests that if these materials become public, they could reshape long-standing perceptions, challenge carefully constructed public narratives, and reveal the extent of behind-the-scenes maneuvering. Some commentators speculate that Blake may no longer be able to maintain the image of a victim, while others question Ryan's role, suggesting that he may have been more directly involved than previously assumed. This speculation alone has captivated the industry and the public alike, as the contrast between the polished public personas of the couple and the alleged behind-the-scenes conflicts creates a compelling and dramatic story arc. What makes this story even more absorbing is the way it frames power dynamics, studio politics, and celebrity influence. According to online commentators, the very legal process that was allegedly weaponized as part of PR strategies could ultimately become the mechanism that exposes the truth, revealing a paper trail of communications, strategic decisions, and potential conflicts. The anticipation surrounding the unsealing of these files has sparked debates across social media, forums, and entertainment news outlets, with fans and critics speculating on what might be revealed and how it could impact careers, reputations, and the broader Hollywood landscape. For those following the story closely, this is described as a pivotal moment, when rumor and speculation give way to concrete evidence, and the public finally gains a clear view of what occurred behind the glitz and glamour of celebrity life. In the eyes of many observers, this is not just a scandal, it's a dramatic revelation of power, influence, and the high-stakes world of Hollywood.